Hello. Hello, everybody. Hello, Bobby. Hello, and welcome to GI Live London 2022. And hello to everyone who's watching live with us on the stream right now. My name is Chris. I run GamesIndustry.biz, and we hope we've got a really cool event for you here. Over the next 2 days, we will have big talks from Twitch, Rare, City and Livingston, Valve. Yesterday, we had a session from Disney, which was an online session where they talked about working with indie developers. You can watch that now. Actually, don't watch it now. Watch it later. We have roundtables with Makers Fund, Creative UK, the Oddscast, Idea Xbox. We have hundreds of meetings taking place between investors and publishers and developers. We have networking lunches, drinks tomorrow, courtesy of Renaissance and Amicus. And of course, tomorrow EGX opens, and everyone who has a physical ticket will be welcome to check that out all weekend. But to kick us off, we have a real industry legend with us, a lifelong supporter of game developers and the head of PlayStation Indies. Please welcome Shuhei Yoshida. Thank you. Noisy seats.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming, Shu. It's lovely to be here.
It's a great setup. Yeah. Very cozy.
It is. It is. Cozy's the word.
Yeah.
Well, it's actually been over it's 2 years since you launched PlayStation Indies.
Actually, I got this new job of head of Indies November of 2019. So I'm approaching 3 years.
Yes. 3 years now. And when you set up, and you said, I think you said at the time, or maybe it was a few months afterwards, the goal was to make PlayStation the best, I'm going to quote you, the best place to develop, find, and play great indie games. So 3 years in, nearly, how would you say you're getting on?
Yeah, well, we are making good progress. Of course, there are a lot that we want to do, we have to do, and we are always listening to publishers and indie developers, for their feedback. And going back, actually, I didn't start this initiative. When I joined the group in the company, they already started this planning stage of indie initiative. Back in the early PS4 days, we are known, PlayStation was known that we are promoting lots of indie developers and indie games, and we are seeing, during 2018 and 19 that the company is focusing a little bit more on the AAA side or first-party side that I was managing, and Jim Ryan wanted to change it. And so he asked the global third-party relations team in mid-2019. At that time, Michael Patterson, now at Team 17. Yeah, he was a VP of global third-party relations team. And Jim asked Michael to come up with a plan to reinvigorate our effort as PlayStation to help indie publishers and indie developers. And so I was recruited into that group. And about the same time in December, right after I joined the team, we are very lucky to have Greg Rice join the effort. He was doing the publishing for Double Fine. And thanks to Microsoft's acquisition of Double Fine, he kind of lost his job. And he was looking for a new place. And actually, while I was still managing first party, he approached me that, there's a position in Sony that, helps, indies, and can you write something good about me? So I wrote, very, recommendation to Michael Patterson. You should hire this guy. At that time, I didn't know I would be working so closely with Greg. So Greg and I joined the effort, and Michael Patterson and I presented to the company management, in January of 2020, right before COVID started. This is what we should do. This is, how we stand in the industry, how we are seeing from the, indie devs, and this is the effort we have to do. And we got the, support from the management. So we expanded the initiative from the global third-party relations team. That team it has a day-to-day interface with the indie developers and indie publishers to all the groups in the company who can help, who helps indie developers, indie games, like store teams and social teams and marketing team and operation team to involve these and get the support from the management of these different groups to elevate our effort to indies. So that was the first thing we did. And at that time, what I was thinking, and actually I pitched to the company, is there are so many indie games being created and published. So that one thing, one focus that I thought we should be doing as a company is look at all the games coming to PlayStation and curate the best ones and showcase that to the consumers so that consumers know what games they should be looking at, like our recommendation, and also when developers make great games, we can make sure that these games are being promoted and do a good business result, kind of top cream of indie games on PlayStation. But at the same time, there are hundreds of games published every year. So we have to improve the systems and tools and support that we are providing to these hundreds or thousands of developers because we cannot have a person communicating and helping each one of them. There are so many, so we have to improve the system and tools and support for them to really make it easier. I say easier because it was really hard. The history of PlayStation was, that we had 3 distinct regional headquarters in Europe, in the US, and in Japan for Japan Asia, and publishers and developers had to submit their games to 3 different regions, and each region has some different systems and tools, and it was hard. So we have been working hard to make it simpler, globalize our system and tools, and we are still working on that in a transition because we are transitioning from PS4 to PS5 generation. So in a sense, so the new tools we deployed for PS5 is much more simplified. However, because most developers and publishers still release games on both PS4 and PS5, in some sense, we added even a bit more complexity. Yeah, so that was a period, 2019 and 2020, that as we are approaching the launch of PS5, that we are introducing new tools. That's much better, but still, we have to have our publishers and developers to use our legacy tools. So there are a lot that we can do, and we've been trying to improve the life of all developers and publishers who are trying to bring games to consumers on PlayStation. So that's my long answer to your question.
Well, and you also answered my next 3. It's quite.
Oh, okay.
Well, I was going to ask about the self-service tools that you do. What have you actually introduced, and what are you looking to add?
Well, so in terms of tools, so these tools and systems are not just used by indie developers. It's used by all the developers and publishers on PlayStation. So that helps everyone. However, when the tools has a difficulty or complexity, the big publishers have what we call account management persons, can help them out. But indies are left on their own to find out because we cannot have a person, human being, to talk to them, everyone. So we have to improve the tools. So first tool we introduced for the PS5 generation is publishing, to bring your game to the global market, and which is a big improvement from the past way that publishers, developers had to submit to all regions. And another new tool is what we introduced is the analytics tool. Once you release your games, you are able to see the numbers, revenues and the engagement, all these tools, data handy, to you, which is really modern and great. But it took because it's new tools, we wanted to introduce to like a beta to small groups to expand. So we took almost a year to deploy to all the users. So now it's being in the hands of everyone who publishes on PlayStation. And the next challenge is how to educate these tools, how to use these tools. Some people are very familiar with this kind of analytics tools. Other people are not. So they need some kind of easier way to understand, to get the a snapshot of how their games are performing. When they do their own marketing. How that leads out in the better sales and engagement or something like that. So we are working on like a training sessions and Q&A sessions, and we are trying to create some videos, so that everyone can watch and how to use these tools. And another tool that we just introduced was the vouchers, tool. For when you publish your games, you need a voucher to, send out to, great journalists like yourself, or you may not review games, but reviewers or your friends or beta testers. That we used to have 3 distinct regional tools. Now we have one global tools that everyone can have much easier time.
Yeah.
And the other tools as well. How we have amazing, strong owned media. We have blog, PlayStation blog, or YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and there are lots of people come to these channels. So the now all the publishers and developers on PlayStation can submit their news feed into our system, so that our teams can pick up to post on our channel.
Oh, wow.
So that's another tool. So we are working on many different tools and systems, and we are trying to improve all of them all the time.
And what else? So, I mean, you've mentioned most of it there. Are there any other things that you do support for indies at all?
Yeah, so going back when I talked about, like curating and showcasing our indies, top cream indie games, in 2020, you remember before the launch of PS5, we had a big showcase. And we were able to feature, I think, 8 indie games within that showcase. And some of them got really, really popular or great reactions. Games like Stray or Kana or Little Devil Inside.
Yeah.
And people still ask me, where's Little Devil Inside?
Where is it?
Yeah, where is it? I know the team in Korea is working hard. So that's one example. And we have State of Play. And many State of Play, we're able to include the quality indie games in that. Sometimes to the point that some people get upset that I'm only interested in AAA games, like great games like Rare creates. Well, Rare doesn't create on PlayStation, but so there are different kinds of users, but we've been consistently looking at the upcoming indie games to include in State of Play. And we have created another thing that I was very impressed with the thinking in our social team to when we've been posting like a news on blog about the indie games, announcement of release dates, or these news. But when we release multiple news, at the same time, like 5 to 8 games we select and release like every 30 minutes, and you've seen that we've been doing it several times a year. We call it, in the showcase internally. There are a lot more coverage by the media people. There are so many news, coming out at the same time. They enlarge our news, coverage. So there are lots of views we are able to get from consumers to our indie games. So that's another thing we've been doing. And the other thing, we have created this name called PlayStation Indies with beautiful graphic, purple color graphics. And the store team has created the PlayStation Indies collection on the store on PS4 and PS5 that we keep adding new games when quality games come out. And we have this very popular collection on the store called the monthly picks. So every month we looked at the games came out the previous month, and we select teams of people from store teams and third-party relations team, and so we discussed and create the selection of 20 games every month. That our recommendation to the consumers, and every month about maybe 15 out of 20 indie games, and that collection is really popular when included, and we create beautiful graphics with one of the 20 games, and it's really fun internally to discuss and debate which game should be that hero title. And the other thing, so our CRM team started to create a newsletter periodically to announce the upcoming, great indie games. And on PS5, we added the system feature that people can wishlist, games like on Steam. And once the game gets out, people who wishlist it get the notification, or when the game get promoted, discounted on the store, you get the notification. So that's becoming more popular, and we have to communicate to publishers. This feature is now available, and when you promote your game, just like you do, wishlist on Steam, can you also say wishlist on PlayStation store? So that's a new thing, and we are working, across different departments, so that when we do like indie showcase or state of play and include games, and we want to make sure the publishers prepare the game page so that when people see the news announcement or read the blog post, they get excited and click on the wish list button on the store page. So that are the kind of things we are working on.
That's a big answer. Well, I'll move on from that stuff. I'll talk about, recently you've just launched, so PlayStation just launched the revamped PlayStation Plus service. How active are you in seeking sort of indie games to go into that?
So the new PS Plus, some people think, we combine the old PS Plus and the old PS Now. In a sense, it's what we did. However, when you look closely, we reviewed all the games included, and we curated like a best, catalog games that we can wholeheartedly recommend to people. So there are great indie games available when you go up from PlayStation Plus Essential to Extra. And Extra is really great value for money. And the premium is more about the classic games, and I was really happy and surprised to see Ape Escape was really heavily promoted after so many years that I produced the game. But that's not indie game. But for the Extra, there are already probably like 100 high quality indie games, and we are always looking at adding or refreshing the catalog. To kind of promote and let people to find out, or let people to, I was very interested in that game when it was released, but I didn't have a chance to play it. That now it's included in the catalog of PlayStation Plus Extra. Let's try. That's how we.
You put Stray in there. I mean, what's the impact of games going into Plus having on traditional sales? Are we seeing, when indies put a game in there, are they going to have to be aware that it's going to hurt their more...
Like a cannibalization of the sale. So let's go back, like old PS Plus. not the new PS Plus, but old PS Plus had only one tier. Everybody used to get 2 or 3 games every month, and occasionally we included new titles day and date, like Fall Guys or Rocket League. These online games, by having lots of people playing, is really helps to create a big community from day one. And we believe the inclusion to the PS Plus for these games contributed to the success of these titles. And the other games may benefit by included if the games are not well known and games have like a subsequent like a release of DLCs. Having larger number of player base could contribute to additional sales of DLCs. And the new PS Plus have multiple tiers, and the essential is like old PS Plus. We still release 2 or 3 new games every month, and the new tier Extra has a catalog of hundreds of games for people to play. And for Extra, our approach is we'd like to help the publishers to manage what we call the life cycle management of the business. I was managing first party, so I completely know that, it's like, in the movie, movie comes out on the theater first and goes to pay-per-view or goes to like a subscription service and goes to like a free TV, right? So every time, generating new revenue and reaching out to broader audience. So same kind of way, we believe in the premium release of titles at the launch, and after maybe 6 months or 12 months or 2 years, when the game's sales come down, inclusion into the service like PlayStation Plus Extra can help resurface these games to new broader audience. And some people might have missed playing these games when it comes out. Again, this is a great chance to play and generate new word of mouth. And if there's a DLC or sequel coming out, we can help elevate the interest of a broader audience to that franchise. So we are encouraging publishers to make use of these services in their managing the life cycle of each title. That said, Stray was something different because we put it in day one. And luckily, as I said, the Stray was one of the most popular games when we announced, we did the PS5 showcase. Lots of people were waiting, and the PS Plus Extra is a subset of PS Plus audience. We haven't announced the numbers, but we've been announcing the PS Plus overall user base of around 50 million. But the extra tier users is smaller subset. But by including and featuring Stray as a face of this upper tier service, I hope we contributed to promoting the title when it comes out. And as a result, game did extremely well in terms of sales. But it's still early days, and it's kind of anomaly to what I explained earlier, that we approach the subscription service to help publishers to manage the life cycle. So it's kind of experimental for us at this point.
Well, we look forward to seeing the results.
Thank you.
Next up, it's a hardware thing. PlayStation's launching VR2 next year, which I'm very excited about.
Yep.
Is indie games part of this? Are you working with indies on that?
Yeah. You may know that I was heavily involved in the development of original PlayStation VR, and I was doing the a role of like promoting the system when we launched in 2016. And so I'm a huge, VR fan. And I don't know if you have tried. When you try PSVR 2, it's truly next-gen experience, which we are super excited. But VR market is still small. It's growing, and thanks to Meta, doing great job of promoting the Quest. So more people are coming in to try the VR for the first time. But still, compared to console gaming, it's a subset and a growing market. So when industry see this opportunity, something really truly exciting from technical standpoint or the gameplay standpoint, but the market is small, what happens is it's the indies. They've been waiting to make VR games since the prior VR boom in 1990s. They've been waiting, like Mizuguchi-san's been waiting for this technology to become available for them to make games on. So there are big games like Horizon, Call of the Mountain, or Resident Evil Village. Yes, they are amazing, but it's the indies in my mind who really takes a risk because they want to make games on VR. And there's a big boom of PSVR and Oculus when we launched around the same time back in 2016. But after a couple of years, investors moved on to something different. So they are very difficult time for 2017, 18, 19. But there are indie publishers and VR developers who survived this difficult period, and they've been releasing new games in VR, and they've been accumulating this knowledge and experience how to use this new tech, and they are making better and better games. And now with metaverse and all these things, money is now coming back, and they are now becoming, some of them now are getting lots of money invested and becoming publishers to help other developers as well. So you will see great VR games coming out from these now re-energized and enlarged and re-invested in the VR publishers.
Oh, great. Well, I'm very conscious of the time, because I'm worried Jamie's going to hit me with a stick if I carry on too long. But I wanted to ask, what are your top tips for indie devs that want to work with PlayStation?
Yeah, so we are big fans of seeing games early, and we've been looking at games from the very conceptual stage to prototype stage. So we would like indie publishers to show us games early and start communicating how they're going, what's their goals, and see if there's a great opportunity for us to help them showcase and promote their titles. So that's the tip.
That's the tip. Well, in that case, I'll ask one more. What game should we be looking out for in the indie community? I'm super excited with a game called Cheer. It's going to coming out. It's a game made by a developer in France, but the core developers came from New Caledonia, and the game is beautiful a description of the New Caledonia islands and oceans and cultures and music. It's a beautiful game. So what's it called again? Cheer. Cheer. Yeah. Oh, wow. Well, we'll keep an eye out for that one. Well, thank you, Shu. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you here. Sony is here in force, I think, and if you want to know more about PS Indies, I'm sure they'll be happy to answer any of your questions. But for now, please give a warm reception to Shuhei Yoshida.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shu and Chris. Okay, just before our next session, I wanted to mention the round